Greetings, sire. Your stronghold awaits you.
Greetings, Soulswind here, and welcome to Let's Play Stronghold HD. Well, this is episode tutorial, not exactly episode 1, but yeah, as usual, always before the start of a series we try to do something like that. I'm playing version 1.41, as you can see top left hand corner, and let's look at the options first. We've got the gameplay options, and my game speed is on the middle section, 50 actually. Yep, bubble help is on. Video options, resolution 1280 by 720. I think this is workable for me, and the scroll speed is normal. I changed the cursor to the sword because it feels nicer, looks nicer too. Sound options, music and sound effects on 80 and speech at 85. So basically, I'll probably test out the music volume at this level and see if I should tweak it further. Please let me know if I should as well. The FX volume is just some of the sound effects in the game you'll see and hear later. Speech volume, like the one that just greeted us just now. Yes, and change our name. Soulswind. Lord Soulswind. That's who we are. Oh, wait, sound is on. Of course, we can switch this off. Anyway, yep, and I think we can just go to the tutorial by launching this. So the tutorial is very much narrated, and it's such a full narration that I'll probably just stay quiet because there's no need to interrupt it. So, yeah, see you later.
Welcome to the Stronghold tutorial. This tutorial will teach you the techniques you need to know in order to get your castle up and running. The first task is to find a suitable place to build. To scroll around the map, push the mouse pointer to the edge of the screen. The first thing you need to do in Stronghold is find a suitable place to site your castle. Left-click on the Saxon Hall building, then find a flat, empty piece of ground on the map. Move your mouse over the main screen until your keep appears. Once you are happy with the position, left-click to place your keep. Wood has automatically been transferred from your starting goods into your stockpile. The wood is now available for you to use in your construction. In addition to the Saxon Hall and the stockpile, you should see a campfire. Move the mouse pointer over it. The halo that appears is your population growth indicator. The more popular you are, the faster it will fill and the quicker your population will grow. Every time the indicator makes one full rotation, a peasant will arrive and stand by the campfire until work becomes available. If the halo turns red, you are unpopular. The halo will then be showing you how quickly people will leave your castle. On the top left of the screen, you can see that there is plenty of food among your starting goods, but to use it, you will need to build a granary. Left-click on the granary building and move your mouse pointer in the area near the keep. When the granary building appears, left-click to place it. The food in your starting goods will be transferred to the granary. Your peasants now have an ample supply of food to eat. Right-click to exit the build mode, then left-click on the granary you have just built to bring up the granary panel. Good! This panel lets you see your food details and allows you to make changes to your rationing. On the right of this panel, there are 5 plates with varying amounts of food on them. These symbolise the different ration settings, from no rations up to double rations. At the moment, rations are set to the default of full rations. Left-click on the plate with the most food on it to set your rations to double. Due to your generous rationing, you are now gaining a big bonus to your popularity each month, and the popularity symbol has changed to a smiling face. The downside to this is that you are consuming food at twice the rate you were before. You can view the rate of consumption by watching the speed of the bar in the granary, or you simply see the units of food disappear from your granary on the map. Next, right-click to leave the granary and left-click on your Saxon Hall to bring up the Keep panel. This panel lets you view your tax details and allows you to change your tax rate. You can set your taxes to anything from a generous bribe all the way up to a downright cruel tax. Taxes are currently set to the default of no taxes, so you are not gaining or losing any money. Left-click on the right arrow until taxes are set to mean. You will now have a little gold coming into your treasury each month, but you are suffering a big hit to your popularity due to your mean tax rate. Good! The scribe shows your popularity, gold, and population size. His expression reflects your popularity. The report book he is holding will help you to find critical information about your settlement. The large number at the top shows your popularity rating. Left-click on the report book. The reports panel is now visible. Left-click on the popularity button. Here you see the effects of your actions on castle popularity for the coming month. Making changes to your tax rate and rationing are the two main ways of manipulating your popularity. With popularity over 50, people will come to the castle. Below 50, they will start to leave. Your tax rate and rations level will now be set to their original starting levels. Now right-click again to leave the report. Now you have a grasp of how to place buildings and manage your taxes, food and popularity. Let's take a look at how to expand your settlement further. Running along the bottom left of the screen are 6 shields. These are the building category buttons, which change the type of buildings displayed on the building selection scroll above them. Move your mouse pointer over these shields. The shields will highlight, and above the building selection scroll, you will see a description of the button. Left-click on the Industry Building category. Hammer. Click on the woodcutter's hut in the building selection scroll and build 4 woodcutter's huts close to the trees. Finally, right-click to stop building. Good! Now you see that 4 of the peasants around your campfire have turned into woodcutters and are working cutting down trees. Wood will soon begin to arrive in your stockpile. Now you need to start increasing your food stock. Left-click on your granary again. The amount of food you have left is shown in absolute units and also monthly supply. Right-click to exit the granary screen. Left-click on the farm building category, apple. Now place 4 hunter posts and the remaining peasants will become hunters. Good.
Let's try and interrupt the whole thing by placing one more. Let's try.
You can't do that at this point in the tutorial. When the hunters have prepared their meat, they will place it in your granary. Aim to have at least enough food coming in to cover demand. The bottom set of numbers on your scribe's report show your current population followed by your available housing. It is currently 8 out of 8, which means the housing inside of your Saxon Hall is at full capacity. Click on the Town Buildings category, House, and build a hovel. Your available housing will increase and your population will begin growing again. Each hovel you build will hold up to 8 people. Your settlement is growing, but so of course are the number of mouths to feed.
Can we build 2?
That's not a valid option at this time.
Nope.
Now you will learn a few additional interface controls that are useful when playing the game. To rotate the map, move the mouse pointer into the middle of the screen, then press and hold the right mouse button. The camera interface icons will appear. Move the mouse pointer upwards onto the rotate icon. To zoom out, press the right button again and move the mouse pointer to the right over the zoom icon and release the button. To zoom back in, repeat the process. To go full screen, press and hold the right mouse button and move the mouse pointer to the left over the full screen icon and release. To go back to normal mode, repeat the process. Press and hold the right mouse button again to bring up the camera interface. This time, move the mouse pointer down onto the flatten icon. This will pull down tall objects such as mountains and walls and allow you to see behind them. Release the button to allow the landscape to spring back up. Congratulations! You have completed the tutorial. You are now ready to start the first mission of the Stronghold campaign. Would you like to continue playing this map?
Yes, of course, continue. Finally, the tutorial is complete, and yes, we couldn't really disrupt the tutorial by trying to build extra stuff. It won't let us. So that's a good thing to have in action or implemented. Okay, so basically we have a stockpile here where it comes with the keep already, the Saxon Hall. Not keep, the Saxon Hall. And our workers will deposit raw materials over here, or raw food materials over here. And our hunters will be hunting deer at this part. You can see them shooting the deer. So basically this is the tutorial. It doesn't really teach us other more complicated things like, this is Stronghold. Shouldn't we have a castle? Nah, it's not gonna talk about it here. It's just telling us the very basics of the game so that, this kingdom, if left untouched like this, can continue running and running and running. Because this is the default setup. The food is enough. The wood is going to stop cutting actually once this stockpile is full. It's not going to deposit here. And yes, so this is the basics. It doesn't teach us other buildings or other mechanisms such as the population being affected by many other things. It just basically mentions that we can check it here. Things like crowding, fear factor, religion, and ale coverage. So just cover one of them, crowding. Crowding is when we have got 16, but we delete one of the hovels, and that brings us back to 8. That's where crowding occurs, and we'll take a hit on the popularity. Since we have enough wood, let's take a look. Deletion button is also not mentioned. It is this X key over here. You can see this one. Delete. Then put our mace on the thing we want to delete and left click. Boom. That's it. So it's 16 over 8. It becomes red soon enough, and let's look at the popularity. We have a -10 crowding. And in the coming month, it's a -9 popularity in total. We can counter that if we want to, but let's not risk it for now. Let's just put our hobble back. And that should put the popularity back again. So, one more thing. What do you mean by in the coming month? Well, the month is here. We are in year 1070 right now, and it's March. So this counter actually goes up by month. For a few seconds in the game, it moves up to the next month. But how do we know how fast? We don't really know because it is determined by our game speed. It's currently set to 50. Again, it doesn't tell us that, but we can press the plus button to increase the speed of the game all the way up to 90 at increments of 5 game speed per press. We can also decrease the game speed using the minus button on the keypad and go all the way down to 10 at -5 decrements, or at 5 decrements of game speed per press. I don't think the other plus minus, well, no, they don't. So it's the keypad plus and the keypad minus. We'll put it back to 50. And yes, so the tutorial doesn't teach us everything, but I think if you start the game from a fresh installation, it's 25 if I'm not mistaken. But one thing to note is this: we are set at 55, now we are set at 60. If we quit this game and start another game, that game starts at 60. So be very careful what was your previous setting in the previous mission, and always check game speed at the start of a game, and if possible, lower the game speed before the mission ends. Okay, so stockpiles, they come with a keep. Can we actually build more stockpiles? Here, we can. But you see, it's not available other than right beside the current stockpile, which sort of limits us on where we can place our stockpile. And in future, we'll see that, you know, it can affect efficiency. So one of the ways to do things would be to, okay, right click to exit the build menu and delete the stockpile and move it elsewhere. But note that if we delete this stockpile, every wood that is accumulated here is gone. This also applies for the granary, so be very careful when we delete things that contains quantities of food or materials. This will be gone, the food inside will be gone, the wood here will be gone. But if we delete this, we can adjust it. We have some wood ready, so let's just try. Delete it. We don't need to spend resources to build it, so we can just build it elsewhere. Like, you know, hey, I want to build it here. Sure, in a campaign mission, not so much, because we are always being challenged by the campaign requirements already. So try not to lose any resources early on, and if possible, not lose them at all, you know. Yeah, but here in the tutorial, I can show you that we can move it here. Then again, subsequent stockpiles will have to be beside the existing one. So be very careful where you place your Saxon Hall or your keep in future, as well as if you decide to reposition the stockpile, where do you want to put it? So we can put this here, 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 here. So we have up to, say, 10? No, 9. But there is a quirk on this number, which I'll show you separately. Let's not do that now. And same for the granary. We have to put the granaries adjacent to each other. Here, food processing buildings. The granary must be adjacent to the previous one, so be very careful where you select your starting position for the first granary, as you'll be deleting food from your kingdom. And in order to move something, you need to delete all of them, or sort of like, you know, hop them through. Like, okay, I don't want the previous one, so I need to fill up the new one on top of this existing one, like, you know, fill up this one, then delete this one to move it slightly northwards, and hop it until you find the place that you really want it to be at. But otherwise, be careful where you place it. Scout out the map first and place the granary. Also, one thing to note is that before we place the granary, our population was actually taking a hit, because that was counted as not having any rations. So it's like no rations, which would be a -8. So you could see the number dropping just now while the tutorial was going on. So yes, that's something to note. So at a lower game speed, it'll be much nicer to have it like that. And I think there are some quirks to this. I'll find out more and show you if they are. So we're supposed to spread out our resource gathering stations like this, so that, you know, we don't have a spike. Let's say, you know, everything's clustered here, so this region of the trees will be, like, you know, all cut, and they'll need to spend lesser time walking. But after they finish all the trees here, they'll need to all walk further to get wood. So if I spread it out along a line like this, at least we have a steady supply of wood for a slightly more extended period of time. But the best would be to have one here, one here, one here, and one here, so they each get access to their own supply of trees and wood. This also allows the trees to kind of regrow, so you don't see this bald patch here where there's no trees. And that brings me to the next thing. The trees do regrow, but it takes time to regrow. So spreading out our woodcutter's hut will ensure that we give it time to regrow, and not have this one. Of course, there are more quirks with the trees, and I'll show you again later. Basically, we can see that this woodcutter cuts one, brings it back, cuts some more, brings it back, and cuts again and brings it back. So this is the typical behavior of most of the workers. They'll make multiple trips from the workstation out to the raw materials, the resource, and then process it each time before making one trip back to the stockpile. So these processing stations or their workplace should be closer to the raw materials than they should be to the stockpile. And all of these really depends on how each of these workstations operate. Yes, with regards to the trees, they do die off, and there is an event in the game called the tree fungus, according to some Wikipedia and other information from some of the resource sites, whose links I'll be putting in the description section of the video. But basically, the tree fungus event is something that afflicts the trees and kills off some of the trees. So it won't kill off everything unless it is like repeated a lot, and that usually don't happen in the typical mission. But it sure affects our supply of wood. Let's say it happens near our woodcutter's hut. But the young trees, they regrow around healthy trees, so we have to watch out for that to allow the young trees time and space and opportunity to regrow. And one more thing, whenever a tree is cut, depending on the size of the tree, it can be cut a few times into multiple sections of logs like this by a woodcutter. So the bigger the tree, the more wood can be obtained from it. So if the woodcutter cuts this down, you can see that this is a young tree. So the amount of wood is only 1 log. However, if it cuts a bigger tree, the number of logs obtained would be more. So you can see again, now there's 1 log for 1 tree, a baby tree. Now if this woodcutter cuts this tree right now, let's see it topple the tree. You see? It can get 1 log and parts of the leaves disappear. So the tree actually slowly deteriorates as more logs are obtained from it. Here comes another woodcutter. He'll make some chops on the tree and get 1 more log. Some parts of the tree disappear, and then some more disappear over here. So the bigger the tree, the more wood supply. So having too many woodcutters hut here denies young trees from properly growing, and reforestation cannot happen. See, there's a new tree here, but I'm pretty sure it'll be cut down soon because it's in the path of the woodcutter. You can see over here, look. We get very little wood here, and we don't get the chance for a tree to regrow. So that's bad for us. So you see, another one is here, but because we have so many nearby, they all see all of these and all get cut. Instead of having 1 here, 1 maybe here, you know, these may not be touched and they get chances to regrow. Or another strategy would be that we have a cluster of woodcutter huts here. So now we have a bald patch. What do we do next? If we have a steady supply of wood and no imminent danger, with enough of time and nothing really important to spend the wood on, what we can do is this: delete all of this. Oh, be careful though. You see, when I deleted one of these woodcutter's posts, this woodcutter who was delivering something becomes a peasant again. Whatever he was delivering actually disappears without being registered in the stockpile. So be very careful. The woodcutters who has got wood cut and registered over here has them disappear, or have them disappear once I delete. So those are gone too. This tree is considered just dead basically, and new trees won't really register this as a tree and regrow around this tree, but it can still regrow around other trees here. So now this tree has a chance to grow. We want this bald patch to be reforested again. So what we can do is to go to industry building and move our woodcutters over to here, where we have some trees supplied to us like this, you know. Basically we have got trees that we can access, so they reduce their walking time to the woodcutter's hut, but slightly longer walking time to the stockpile, because you know they make 3 trips each from the woodcutter's hut to the tree and 1 trip to the stockpile. So in this case, then I can cluster all of them together. It's fine because I'll be moving the cluster pretty often. And all these strategies really depend on where the positions of the forests are and the conditions of that particular mission. That is about all I want to share. There are a few other special things that are separately recorded, so I'll show them separately by just, you know, editing them into this video, and you'll be able to see them. I just wanted to address as many things as I can here, because usually in the mission we don't have much time unless I slow the speed down. Maybe I should. But anyway, again, I think I was wrong to say that the game can continue running, because we are running out of food actually. 5 units left. I'll show more about the hunters later. And yes, if you click on the workstations and whatnot, it will show whether the hunter is hunting, bringing food back or whatnot. Same for these woodcutters hut, going to workplace. And if you click on the woodcutters themselves, they will tell you more also. See? Going to workplace, and they'll have a comment here: no taxes is good taxes. That's because we have got no taxes. Chopping a tree, returning with logs. So these are details that are quite cool. You get to see their statuses and everything, you know, all the details of what they are doing at the moment and what they feel about you today. Oh, this is our lord. It's not so important right now, but we'll talk about it later. these are just people that spawn beside the hovel. So we have the child here, we have a mother here, so taking care of a baby. The deer, they have got young and old here, but they all give one meat actually when killed, so it doesn't really matter which get killed. But if it's stuck like this in an unreachable corner, the hunter may just shoot again and kill one more. So yeah, this is something we cannot really control. But yes, they do take one deer back by killing one. So they actually respawn here at this area, but there's something that we can do with it. So I'll show you separately, and I think that's all, right? Yeah, I built a lot of the woodcutter's hut and chopped every tree possible. So you can see here there's nothing left, and the woodcutter is just standing here idling. There's one tree, but it seems the woodcutter is ignoring this tree, and this tree is not repopulating the map again. Well, the trees, they do regrow, but it seems that if we cut too much, if there's too much deforestation, this becomes a desertification problem, and yes, we don't see any more trees growing, and our woodcutter marked short sword is just resting here. Can't find a tree, my lord. How do we deny ourselves of food then? The deers, after some numbers have been depleted, they spawn. Where do they spawn? Around this region. See? It spawns here. But what happens is I built something to block the place up. These two are known spawn points. And yes, before we see the phenomenon, firstly, if you cordon off the entire area around an industrial building or some other building, it won't be accessible. And you can see from here, this is a cross here. It cannot be accessible because there's no way to interact with that building. Just only one, and this becomes accessible. It just needs a little gap, and I think it finds the nearest available peasant and assigns it to work. So you can see this woodcutter walking back and then turning again back to here. And now what? Now you see here, Josh, luckless hunter, can't find any deer, my lord, and he's resting, right? Just cannot find any deer. David Windsor as well, and you can see the rest. So our food will deplete slowly. Because the deers are not spawning due to our blocking, we can delete these buildings. And yep, you can see they're spawning again. There it is. So we cannot permanently destroy our source of food, but we can permanently destroy our source of wood. In that case, the only way left is to use a later mechanic to buy wood, but we can never have the trees grow for us again. So be very careful not to over deforest the area. Also, one thing to note is that we have about one here, so that would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2, because this is there. That's 12 plus 3 more. We have 15 plots of stockpiles. However, the number of plots of stockpile is usually 9. Occasionally 10, but usually 9. So this 15 is surprising. Yep, this poor Mark short sword is still resting and cannot find a tree. Apparently this tree doesn't regrow. Yes, so if we let the forest regrow, the trees regrow, after about an hour or so, we get something like this. Well, pull this down and you'll see that my woodcutters are just standing there because the stockpile is full. Meanwhile, our hunters are still hunting, and our granary is almost full. We have a hovel here, with just a small little community of 16 in our forest village. This looks so nice. Yep, that's all for the tutorial. We can press escape to bring up the menu and quit mission. I think I've already added the stuff by the time you see this page. So that's all for the tutorial and the quirks. And that's all I have for now. Have a nice day.